I think there's some cool news as of right now when it comes to Flare. And what is that? Not too long ago, the blockchain reporter on X, they put out a post and it said that Flare has unveiled a 2.2 billion FLR incentive program accelerating F assets adoption and institutional decentralized finance growth across lending decentralized exchanges and yield platforms. Now, first of all, I think it's important to note that this is regarding 2.2 billion FLR, right? Which is the native token of Flare, not in terms of dollars. But again, besides that point, why is this program allegedly, I think, could be something amazing? It's because through this, they're allegedly accelerating F assets adoption and institutional, again, decentralized finance growth across lending decentralized exchanges and yield platforms. But I first want to address F assets because some people may be thinking, okay, what is that? Now, allegedly, F assets, they bring non-smart contract assets like XRP, Bitcoin, and Doge into DeFi. So I think that's pretty interesting right there when it comes to that. And when I take a look at something like Flare, yes, I get it. People may think, oh, it's not really doing much. Well, I think this is actually kind of doing a lot because it's kind of fostering the growth, in my opinion, of something like Flare maybe moving forward. Not to mention, another focus of this is institutional decentralized finance growth across lending decentralized exchanges. Now, let me address this real quick because if we take a look at the decentralized finance market, it is predicted to reach over $200 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. However, keep in mind that is just a projection. Who knows if it will ever reach that? But if it, let's say, does, that's hypothetically bigger than some countries' GDP. So I think that is pretty massive. So I am a fan of decentralized finance. Not to mention, if we take a look at, again, this F Assets incentive program, basically, it is building institutional grade DeFi for XRP and beyond. Now, again, DeFi stands for decentralized finance. But again, I think XRP is very massive. Of course, Ripple, and again, allegedly with all that type of nonsense that was going on with Ripple and kind of basically with the SEC, now that is basically kind of a thing of the past, allegedly. I think something like XRP really kind of has that recognition now. People are no longer, I think, kind of, having this notion that, oh, take a look at its reputation. I think as of right now, it's viewed as in a different regard as the, let's say, opposed to a couple of years ago. So I think Flare is really something that I am a fan of. But let's not forget as well, if we take a look at Flare, people like to say, oh, it's not really doing much. Well, keep in mind, Flare is the blockchain for data. I think there's some, fundamentals here that I do want to talk about. And allegedly, let's say FLR, which is its native token, let's say it were to go to the price of 25 cents, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, even though nothing I say is financial advice, because, again, if we take a look at Flare, what does it basically do? Okay, we get it, it's a blockchain for data, but then it provides developers with decentralized access to data from other chains and the internet. Allegedly, it's an EVM. Now, EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, but again, it's an EVM smart contract platform with two data acquisition protocols. The first is FTSO. Now, FTSO stands for Flare Time Series Oracle. Now, I'm going to discuss the Oracle part because I think that is pretty interesting here. Now, an Oracle is basically a data feed that brings data from off the chain, aka off-chain data, and then it brings that data again over into the blockchain. And the reason why this is crucial is because without this off-chain data, basically, many decentralized applications out there, they wouldn't really be able to function properly. So I think it is very crucial, and keep in mind, FTSO, it's focused on decentralized prices, and this offers decentralized price and data feeds to decentralized applications on Flare. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, the second data acquisition protocol beyond FTSO is something called the data connector. Now, the data connector, if we take a look at it, right, it is for trustless data proofs. This enables information from other blockchains and the internet to be used on Flare. By the way, keep in mind as well, giants like Anchor and Google Cloud, they're in the Flare ecosystem, allegedly. That is very impressive in my opinion. I mean, people don't really think about that sometimes, I think, when it comes to Flare, but I think it's a pretty interesting project. I get it. Some people out there like to say, oh, it's not cool, it's not fun and all this. Well, that's debatable, but in my opinion, this is a utility-driven project. It's not a meme coin. It's not some sort of random thing. I don't think it's like that, right? I think that when it comes to Flare, it may not have kind of the hype of some meme coins, but then I like it because I want to believe in these type of utility-driven projects too. Don't get me wrong, I also believe in meme coins, but I also want something like Flare to believe in, because I'm a fan of it, and I think the use case hypothetically isn't bad. It's still doing things, it's still updating, they care about the community. FLR has pretty good exchange listings, so why would I not believe in it? Even though I am not telling anyone to buy FLR, by the way, but then this is just the way I take a look at Flare. Now let's say at the price of 25 cents when it comes to FLR. Considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $17 billion, which is around a 14x from here. Will it ever reach that? Who knows? But that market cap doesn't seem that outlandish. I mean, take a look at Dogecoin, which pretty much exceeded this by over 4 times back in 2021, again, in terms of market cap. Dogecoin that year reached over 80 billion. So when I take a look at around 17 billion, it doesn't seem too outlandish to me, even though there is no way to tell if it will ever reach that. But then I just don't see why that would surprise me. This is just kind of my perspective. But again, some people like to say, around a 14x, 25 cents. Okay, let's say FLR goes to 12.5 cents, around a 7x from here. Just think about this, right? What is Bitcoin going to do in the next 6 to 10 months? Some people are saying 300 grand, maybe, who knows? But 300 grand is slightly less than a 3x from here. I mean, would I rather choose FLR or that? Logically, why would I get into Bitcoin right now in my perspective, right? I can only speak on my behalf because the time for me to get into Bitcoin, I feel like was years ago. I don't know why I would believe in it right now. Now, I get it. Some people may be thinking, take a look at what Bitcoin could reach, in 10 years or whatever. I'm totally aware of people saying that. But then, let's say in the next 6 to 10 months, why would I believe in Bitcoin right now? This is just kind of my thought process behind all this. But again, only time will tell. Now, some people out there, they may be thinking that, when it comes to this altcoin season, it's over and all this type of stuff. Now, who knows? Because how can I tell the future? It's impossible for me to do that. But what I can take a look back is at least in history, right? And historically speaking, altcoins usually, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year, so we had 18 months on top of that. That's around October this year. Again, that's just based off history. But even though I can take a look at that date and just kind of maybe feel like, hey, maybe as of right now, altcoins aren't supposed to peak as a worst case scenario anyways, even though sometimes I feel that way, the only thing that I am, kind of confident in is just controlling myself, in a sense that I cannot control when things go up or down when it comes to FLR or even just the whole space in general. I cannot do that, right? There's only one thing I can control. So even though I can take a look at that historically speaking, again, it's just based off history. Who knows what will happen this time around? But what I am going to still do is just dollar cost average, hold, and I just wait. That's it. Because quite frankly, that is the only thing that is within my control. So in the meantime, I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to wait. But of course, I'm still paying attention to Flare. I like its updates, and I'm still very excited for its future. But ultimately, again, all I can do is wait. That's it. And if you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you did subscribe. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.